media this week. And, it's always interesting because I don't have time to do interviews. I only have time to do my own show, which I do
Yeah.
too many. But let's kind
Yeah.
of just dive deeper into this media experience this week.
Yeah. Hey, how are you doing? It's good to see everybody out there. Hey, Neil. This has been great. That I start with you. I'm starting to get much more comfortable being on screen and talking and getting my story out there and talking about my book, Becoming Fire. And so I started getting asked to be on some podcasts. People started seeing me from the YouTube, from clips you've put out there. So I got invited by DeShanda Carter, and her podcast is called When the Blue Comes Off. And she had been in law enforcement for a career. She retired from that. She got a law degree and became a lawyer. She just got elected to a city council in Orange County. I believe that's right there in Pennsylvania, next to New York. What a fantastic lady, and so friendly. And she made that interview go so smooth. She's so much fun chatting with. And so I do her interview, and I felt very comfortable with it. And then I get invited onto, and I've been invited. It's been coming up for about 2 months. I was invited by a guy that they call him Matty Ice, and he works with Ian Bick. And Ian Bick wanted me on his show. Well, Ian Bick is on Locked In, LOCKEDIN, Locked In with Ian Bick. Ian Bick started his podcasting and his lives basically while he was an Uber driver a little over 3.5 years ago, shortly after he got out of prison for going to federal prison for fraud crime. He talks all about it in his early videos, his early things that he's doing. And he starts his TikTok, where he gets started at. And he said, I had about 4 followers, and then it kind of grew. And he talks about how he got there. And he has developed just a massive following of people watching him. He interviews people who have been former inmates, people who have been in the mob or mob wives. He has interviewed law enforcement. He has interviewed corrections officers, parole officers, and private investigators. He does like a storytelling interview, and he invited me. So I was there this weekend.
That's cool. And so, and what do you see by getting interviewed more and more? How you're building your style of being interviewed?
I'm getting more comfortable talking about the work I used to do and some of the incidents I was involved in. I'm getting better at as the marketing my book, but it's not just the marketing or talking about my book. It's telling a story from the book, but not telling you the whole book. It's putting it out there to make it interesting for the reader. It's making sure people know that I am real and my stories are real and they're authentic. Giving them a taste of what, if you're hearing me on an interview, what I'm like and what the book would be like, and listening to some of the true crime stories that I tell in it. And of course, based on a memoir, it's my stories. It's also more comfortable now to be in front of the cameras and to understand the lighting and the makeup and just being in front of a microphone.
Yeah. And what happens is once you just become your natural self, that's the best way to do things. Yeah. It's not to create a character or have a bunch of notes.
Nah.
You're gonna fail. You're gonna fail miserably because the people know you're reading things, especially if you're the expert and you're reading your talking points, reading it. No, It's got to be on the top of your head, and it's got to be, and you don't give everything away. Yeah, no. I'm sure you couldn't tell your whole book without looking at notes, but if you're talking about certain things and telling stories are what interest people. The other stuff, no.
Yeah, and they want the human side. They want the raw humanity part of it. They want the human side. They want to know, what was going through, what were you talking, what were you thinking about, how you felt about that particular moment and all. So that's getting much easier with talking to the different people on the podcast. And I see the different styles in podcasts, and most people, you guys on that side, you're very comfortable. You've gotten the mic, you've gotten used to the cameras, the lights, the things, and you know what you want to talk about, and you roll with it. And on my side of it, it's like, okay, I spent a whole career trying to avoid being in the cameras and in the light and being asked questions with somebody recording it going, hey, tell us, tell us what happened. You need to talk to my boss. And that's what we would do.
And the key thing is having someone in interviews
Yeah.
that there's no cue cards. Sometimes you have questions. When you understand the person, just ask the next question, listen to your follow up, and listen to the person and say, okay, what am I going to ask them next? What do you think's the most difficult thing to talk about?
For me,
Yeah.
some of the emotional things, the harder things, the dealing with
Right. Do you
dealing
think
with
you
death and all.
do you
I
think you
think
have some PTSD?
Oh, I'm sure. There's no doubt. Well, I was actually diagnosed this past summer, but the PTSD is the World Trade Center health program just said, yeah, it's kind of a checkbox. You got PTSD.
Oh, it's unfair because I
But
started learning more about it this week.
Yeah.
At the Reset Medical about specifically enough when people have had trauma of some sort of trauma in their lives, how they respond to it, and how we are so protective of every little thing once you're part of that. And sometimes there's no way of relaxing. That's
No,
scary.
it's not. I have a couple of good friends that have got PTSD pretty bad, and one of my friends that with it, we care about each other very dearly. We've been friends for at least 30 years, if not longer, and it was all through work. But his PTSD has him now that he's not able to read my book. He's not able to watch my YouTube videos because, if I was just talking funny stories, probably be okay. But if I'm going to be talking about reality and the real world of things that we encountered, he can't do that. And I wouldn't want him to. I just like, hey, I'm all right with it. You don't need my book. What you going to do with it? It's going to sit on a shelf or you're going to let the dog eat it. And, we laugh about it and stuff and all. And, he, they were saying, okay, well, you're an alcoholic. And so he gets diagnosed, he's an alcoholic. And he's like, I don't think
No, you get
not,
other diagnoses because
yeah,
they don't want to look at the mental
yeah,
health in
yeah,
America. We don't know how to take care of mental health worldwide.
yeah. Well, he
And it's
walked,
the most frustrating thing in the world
yeah,
that we don't know how to. And we put another label on everything when it's caused by the brain,
right,
and it can be fixed and you can make changes without certain things. And
right,
we're not going to let people know that because
right.
you add other medications,
Yeah.
other diagnoses.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Well, I think with us, particularly, I look at different people that have different kinds of PTSD, and to me, there's different levels or different types or I don't know, categories. Um, for those of us who've been in law enforcement or in firefighting or in an emergency room, work like an ER, because if you watch the TV show The Pit, ooh, but to be in a situation like that or be a paramedic out on the streets, you are doing what we used to call in the business running and gunning. You are staying so busy.
Yeah.
You are constantly hyped up here on adrenaline. I mean, it's just constant. You're ready to respond. You're ready to go. And I heard a guy call it. I was watching a video on PTSD and with the military and all, and he came up with this great name. He said, "No," he said, "For us, it's lack. It's an L, lack of trauma, lack of this stress. We don't have anything kicking in at once you retire. It's over. Once you get out of the military, once you get out of law enforcement, once you quit working in an ER,
But there's no way of taking it down except one
because
thing: lots of therapy,
right,
lots of coping
right,
mechanisms. But you're going to be at a 9 all the time.
right, always. And then I've met victims of different kinds of, and I don't want to call them victims. They're survivors. Victims don't survive. They die. But survivors is the way you got to look at these people. This bad thing happened to them. This horrendous thing happened to them, but they're a survivor and they've got to go on. And that PTSD from that blocks so many of them from being able to live past those events, whatever it may have been, a sexual assault, seeing a homicide taking place right in front of them. All of those things, they happen and they weren't expecting it. And it's this tragedy that their brain can't let go of. And I'm not saying forget, because you're not going to forget, but there's got to be this way to let that stress off that brain and to
Oh,
let
I can.
that
Yeah.
PTSD out so that they can
Hmm.
continue to survive. versus the other.
All right, go to JenniferClarkSQ.com, purchase her book, follow her, check her out on all social media. Appreciate it.